Aloha everyone, my name is Alessandro and this is the Temple of Surf, the podcast. We'll give you full access to the best surfers, skaters, shapers, surfboard collectors, shop owners in the world. Discover with me their stories, the greatest successes, amazing behind the scenes, and much more. This episode is brought to you by Yogi Pipe, a line of apparel created with eco-friendly materials by artisans from all over the world. Let's discover more about them and their collection on www.yogipipe.surf. Hello everyone, welcome to the 21st episode of the Temple of Surf, the podcast. Today with us from Waikiki, Hawaii, Tommy Pierucki, surf photographer and artist. Let's discover more about him, surf photography, and much more. Hi Tommy, and welcome to the show. Where are you today?
I'm good, thank you. I am in Waikiki right now.
Today we're going to talk about surf photography, the future project. But the first question that I have for you is, in your opinion, what is the most important thing in surfing?
Have fun.
Have fun, right?
That's it. Yeah, that's it. That's it, man. That's what it's all about.
As simple as that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Quite effective. And when you yourself started as surfing, what was your first surfboard?
My first experience with surfing was about almost 20 years ago. I lived in Chicago. That's where I grew up, just outside of Chicago. And I came to visit my sister, who at the time lived here in Waikiki. And I came and I wanted to try surfing. I wanted to try snorkeling, and I wanted to do all this touristy stuff. And I got on a surfboard my first day here, and I didn't do anything else for the rest of the trip because that's all I wanted to do. And I went back to cold Chicago, and it was just like it totally consumed me. And I'm just like, I just want to get back to Hawaii and surf. And I was like 22, 23 at the time, something like that. And all I wanted to do was just learn more about Hawaii, learn more about surfing, and just that's where the obsession kind of started. It was back in the early 2000s, but we didn't actually get the chance to move here until about 2013. And that's where I kind of started the steep learning curve of learning how to surf. So I started off on a big 11-foot soft top, and had my friend RP push me into some waves, and then from there it was a wave storm, and then kind of progressed from there.
I guess so. It's like it's a good obsession to have, right? If you go, from Chicago, where there is no surf in Chicago. No, there are wave pool over there, or
not back then. Not when I lived there.
Not right. Yeah.
No, absolutely not.
Maybe today it changed, but better to stay in Waikiki rather than in Chicago today.
Yeah. Living a block away from some world-class waves is pretty nice.
Yeah, exactly. And you have all the surfers over there, right? And actually this period is a confinement, but the surfers cannot travel, so they stay where they live. And actually it's a great experience, because it's a lot about sharing and experiencing them surfing in their own. Yeah. So I guess
exactly.
You're taking amazing pictures these days.
Thank you.
If I had to ask you the same first question about surf photography, so what is the most important thing about surf photography? What would you answer?
To have fun.
That's for you.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't do it because anyone's asking me or is paying me to do it. I'm doing it because it's really actually fun for me. Okay. The stoke of getting the shot or stoke of catching a wave is 50-50 for me. They're both about the same. So I go through phases where I shoot a lot, and then I'll go through phases where I don't shoot and I surf a lot, and then I'll go through phases where I'll surf in the morning and shoot in the evening, or vice versa. It's all really about having fun and being able to give back to a community that's given so much to me.
Yeah, in fact, I actually read in your website about Access Surf, right?
Access Surf, yeah.
Tell us more about that. What is that?
Yeah, so Access Surf is a great nonprofit organization here in Hawaii, and they're a program that gives ocean access to anyone with a disability, whether it's physical and or cognitive. And if someone wants to come, swim, just get in the water, spend their day at the beach. If they want to surf, if they want to tandem surf with someone, they can have access. Before coronavirus, it was the first Saturday of every month. And I think I started volunteering with that about four years ago, something like that, maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And took a couple kids that had whatever disability and they couldn't surf on their own. So I had the opportunity to take them out surfing, and the stoke level was just like through the roof for them. And like, it really brought me a lot of joy. And I guess that got really contagious. So I just kind of kept coming back. And the more and more I got into it, the more I kept going, the more I kept giving back, donating and just donating time. But then I picked up the camera, and I remember showing up to a day at the beach one day and said, "No, I'm not going to surf today. I'm going to be shooting." And they're like, "What? What? You're not a photographer?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm learning. I'm trying." And they're like, "Okay, go ahead." And I don't surf as much with participants there as much as I used to, because I do a lot of shooting. But I learned a lot of like camera techniques and just a lot of things about my camera from one of the other photographers that has been shooting with them for a long time. And they've just been a great community. So I've been able to give back to them as well.
It's so important and powerful, like all the energy that you get when you're able to help somebody. It's also part of us being surfer, right? It's not only going through like tubes and doing air maneuver. It's like being a member of society, and help everybody to discover this sport or to find happiness, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I imagine the association, for instance, Surfer for Autism, from the Pascovitz family, and it's great, and actually really helps people. So thanks a lot for sharing this with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so you were saying that basically a trip to Hawaii generate this passion for surfing and surf photography. How did it all started with you?
Good question. When I first moved to Hawaii, I had a GoPro, and I would put it on my board, and I would try and get pictures of myself surfing, or pointed at the sunset or something like that. And most of the time, I would take this GoPro to Sandy Beach, which, if you don't know what Sandy Beach is, it's a shore break beach, really powerful shore break that just barrels, in like just a couple inches of water, a couple feet of water. And it's really dangerous. It's a bodyboarding break. It's a body surfing break. But it's really, really beautiful. So I'd strap on a pair of fins, and I'd take my GoPro, and I would try and get, videos or photos of the barrel. Because there was like, Clark Little and Zach Noyle, all these guys shooting these beautiful barrels. And so I would try and do some of that. I didn't know what I was doing. I just wanted to push the button and get that pretty picture.
Okay.
And so like, that's kind of where it started. And then the more and more I was surfing, the more of these like beautiful moments I would see, and I would only be able to capture them with my eyes. And like, I would never be able to, do it justice with a GoPro. And I think it was January of 2018 when I bought my first camera and my first housing. And I was like, I just want to go take pictures in the water. I don't know what I want to take pictures of. I didn't even know longboarding. I could barely surf like well at that point, but I would just bug my friends. Are you going to go surf? I'm going to come shoot. Are you going to go surf? I'm going to come shoot. Like, I would just bug everybody. And I just kept going. And I learned more and more about my camera. I learned more and more about editing. I started going to Queens to shoot, who's now one of my buddies, Toots, because he just looks like a statue on a board. And I kept going back to try and get more photos of him. And then that's where I kind of fell into shooting and surfing at Queens a lot right here at Waikiki.
And what was your first camera?
Canon 7D Mark II.
And you're still using the Canon?
I don't have that one anymore. The one I bought it used. It's actually hanging on my wall right now because it's like, it ended up dying, and it was just too expensive to fix. So I was like, I don't know if I want to throw this away or just like whatever. And I was like, you know what? I put it up on the wall with a pair of fins and an old port. a lens port on the wall that like was never any good, and it's just kind of like a relic for me now. Yeah, I still use Canons.
Wow.
What was that? I missed it.
No, you can call it relic, or you can call it a piece of art. It's
yes, yeah,
question,
exactly.
And you still use Canon today, so
yes,
that's amazing. Because I interviewed so many surf photographer or ocean photographer, and the big majority, like maybe 80% or 90%, is using Nikon. And
oh, really?
And I like to do concert photography, and in concert photography, you have quite a lot of people that are using Canon because of all the lenses and all the, different kind of lenses that you can find and the maneuverability. But everybody says that Nikon is more detailed. Surf photographer, they were saying like Nikon has more detail. So we prefer Nikon. So I was like, oh my God, it's a war between Nikon and Canon over here as well.
Interesting. Yeah, it's funny. Like here in Hawaii, Nikon is not very popular.
Okay.
It's mostly Canon and Sony here.
Okay, that's nice. And which kind of lens do you prefer?
It depends on the day and the type of shot I really want to get. My favorite, I would have to say, is my 50 millimeter.
Okay.
It's that lens has been responsible for so many of like my favorite shots. And like it's just so crisp, and it's so speedy to focus. And it's such a great focal length. I think after that, it's probably my 70 to 200 millimeter lens. Also very, very fast and very, very crisp, tack sharp images come from those two lenses. But again, it's all about like what sort of shot you want to get. Like you can get a 50 millimeter and be right up close to someone, hanging 10 or in the barrel or whatever. But you can also get a really beautiful shot if you use a 600 millimeter long lens from the shore and add in some foreground and some composition. Like there's just so many different ways to photograph someone on a wave. And I think that's one of the beautiful things of the art of photography.
When you're in the water and you are very close to the surfer, obviously you have another component that is the ocean, right?
Yeah.
So how do you deal with adrenaline and fear of the moment where you are maybe on the tube or next to the surfer, and how do you deal with that?
That's a good question. I wear a helmet. And honestly, I would encourage any surf photographer to wear one, because it is a matter of time before you get hit in the head, not a matter of if. I realized how close people were coming to me, and I was like, it's a small investment, relatively less than $200 to buy a helmet and protect yourself. And it ended up it probably saved my life at least once. I got hit in the back of the head earlier this year by a rogue board, and I'm very, very thankful I had that helmet. But beyond the helmet, there's a lot of trust. I think being a surfer, knowing and reading a wave and knowing what that surfer is going to do is a big advantage as a surf photographer. Compared to someone that if they're just out shooting and they don't surf and they're just there to take pictures, they might not be able to read what that person is going to do or what the wave is going to do, and they might be out of position or might not be able to have the camera up to their eye or be able to take the shot. I think being a surfer and a surf photographer is a huge advantage as a surf photographer.
Yeah, especially as you said, if you think about safety, you cannot just adventure yourself in the middle of the ocean or reef or whatever and just take a shot. It doesn't work like that. You need to be a waterman or a water woman in any case.
Yeah, absolutely.
Too dangerous. And if you had to pick one of your photo that would represent you, like somebody that doesn't know you show this photo and that's you. Which one would you pick?
I think it would be a photo I took of Kaimana Takayama last year in August. Actually, it was just over a year ago. It ended up on the cover of the 100th issue of Pacific Longboarder. And long before it ever ended up on that cover, it was probably my all-time favorite shot. it was one of those moments where I read what he was doing. I could see what the wave was doing. And I knew that if he was going to do what I thought he would, I would be in the most perfect spot for it. And all I had to do was nail the focus. And he did. He ended up getting to the nose, I'd say 10 feet away from me, maybe 15 feet away from me, and doing a nice like little lean back soul arch. And the angle that I had on it was super unique. The weather, the lighting, the way I had it set up, and a little bit of editing almost made it look like we did that in a studio.
Oh.
And it's just like Kaimana and I still to this day, we look at that photo and we're like, how the heck did we do that? You know, and it still kind of like blows our minds.
Definitely very representative. When you started, or even today, who were your references in surf photography? You were looking to somebody particularly?
Yeah, absolutely. Zach Noyle was a huge, not only influence, but he's opened so many doors for people that want to put a camera in their hands and get in the water. He used to run these like oceanography classes like once a year, and he would basically get people down at Sandy Beach. They would have to sign up for it, and there was like limited amount. Get people down to Sandy Beach, and they could actually get a nice camera with a water housing in their hands and go in the water with it, and to see what it's like to do that, to swim, and to look through the lens, and to get focus, and and still be aware of all your surroundings. So it was a really unique experience to do that, and that kind of set off a lot for me. He's held contests, photo contests. He's encouraged, and he's always been helpful with like answering questions, and very giving of his time. Him and his dad put on a huge convention every year called PhotoCon, and like they just want people to get better and learn more, and they're giving back so much to this community. So I'm definitely a product of a lot of him and his dad's efforts.
Nice. And if you had to choose a moment, like a defining moment of your career so far, which one would it be? That Pacific longboard cover, or?
I think that cover was kind of, it helped put my name on the map a little bit. And I didn't know it was going to happen. I was on a surf trip with my wife and some friends when I found out about it. I found out about it through Instagram.
Okay.
They didn't tell me anything. And so it was really kind of crazy. So that was really cool. I think one of my best moments was a trip to Taiwan just this past December. Being able to be in the water with so many world-class longboarders and watch Honolua win her second world title, watch Justin Quintal win his world title, and like just being able to be a part of that and to photograph that and to step foot into their world. I think it was a real privilege and an honor. And it kind of set me off. I think I really wanted to do that and kind of follow these really world-class longboarders around the world. I can't do a whole lot of that right now, but hopefully we'll be able to do this again soon.
Yes.
But yeah, I think that trip was really big for me below the cover. I think going there and the relationships that I made. But I think my biggest, accomplishment I really love is the board that I made with my friend Hoku. He basically taught me, is still teaching me how to shape longboards. And I've got a couple boards under my belt, but that one that him and I made, I think that's really like kind of like my shining achievement, because I can look at that and be like, I made that. That thing was a piece of foam, and then I glassed it, and I'm looking at it right now, and I'm just like, that's my baby. And like, I don't want anyone to ever touch that thing.
And it surfs well as well, right?
It does. It surfs so well. I had like the nose ride of my life on that a couple of weeks ago, and I'm just like, I just keep improving and having so much fun, and to be able to do that on something that I had a huge part in making. I'm not going to say I did it all by myself, but like I had a huge part in every step of that board. Like it's a different feeling.
Would you consider in 10 years from now to start to shape boards, or?
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's nice. It's another form of art, right? As a surf photography, it is. especially
there's
if
a lot.
it's shaped.
Yeah. There's a lot of work that goes into it. A lot more than I thought, and it's not easy and it's not fast, but it's like you really get to see the fruits of your labor when you get that thing in the water. It's really kind of nice, and especially seeing the stoke on someone else's face when they grab their board that you made them. So it's really kind of a new passion that I'm starting to explore.
I started to read a book now. I don't remember the title right now, but about shaping surfboard as a form of meditation. And like there was this guy that was like in advertising or something that in UK, and he decided like at a certain point of his career just to go in a shaping bay and start to shape his first surfboard. And actually, he doesn't even surf. He just say like I use it as a meditation tool, and he just shaped one in wood. That was like.
Wow.
Very interesting book. I think I read like only 30 pages of it, so I don't know how does it.
You gotta finish that.
Yeah, I just started last week, but it was interesting. It's interesting, like to shape boards. So,
Yeah.
but going back to you and your current plans, what's next? I mean, now okay, we are all living in a difficult moment where everything is kind of blocked. But then what's next? Do you have any particular project you're working on?
Nothing like super huge. I think I'm just kind of waiting to be able to start traveling again, and for the world to start opening up, especially for a U.S. citizen. I think our passports are kind of worthless at the moment, which is really kind of a shame. But at the same time, we live in paradise, and there's so many waves right across the street from me, and I want to just keep surfing and shooting and shaping. That's the big plan.
It would have been different than if you were living in Chicago today, right?
I'd be miserable, I promise.
Yeah, I guess it was not like the same. At least in Waikiki, you have quite a lot of time.
Yeah.
Right. We're going to finish our interview with a short Q&A session. So please answer the first thing that comes up to your mind.
Okay.
The best surfboard that you ever ridden?
The one I made.
I knew it.
and behind that is the one that Michael Takayama made for me.
Okay, that's good. Because I was thinking to change the first question, because the second one is like the best shaper, your favorite one. So now I guess you answer as well, right?
I think my favorite shaper is probably Toots, only because I get to see a lot of his shapes up close, and I get to see his passion for exploring and trying out new things, and never being satisfied with one particular shape, and be like, oh, I want to do this, or I want to try that. And he doesn't care what anyone thinks, and he wants to make cool boards, and he wants to have fun. When he's surfing, he's thinking about shaping, and when he's shaping, he's thinking about surfing. Yeah. It's really cool to see.
Yeah, I spoke again also with a lot of shapers, and the answer is like, if we are surfer and shaper at the same time, we can really improve. Like the boards that we're doing. And today, because of technology, also you have like people that shape over the computer, and not necessarily they are like surfer, like great surfer. Yeah. And so it's technology versus human versus ends, right? So we prefer the ends.
Whatever gets more people, surfing and having more fun, I like. I'm all about that, and especially if they're going to use computer to shape. That's just one more way an artist, creates what they're going to create. We're all artists. We all just have a different set of tools.
Yeah, I agree with you. Maybe I misexpressed myself. It's a kind of different kind of public, different kind of surf. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Personal question: your favorite song?
Oh wow, I don't even know. I have to look and see. I've been listening to a lot of John Mayer lately. I don't know. He's pretty cool. that's I really enjoy him. How's that?
Your favorite surf spot?
Queens, right here in Waikiki.
Favorite surfer?
No one. I don't know if your audience will know who this person is, but it's this girl Sally. It's this lady Sally she surfs at Queens, and holy cow, man, she has the most fun every single time. She goes out, she's like the queen of the inside, and she catches all those little inside waves, and she has so much fun. Always stoked, always smiling, and she's the sweetest, most caring lady in the world. Wow. I think of it, and right behind her, it would have to be Teddy from Indonesia, who I met on a trip this past January. Very, very talented young man, and very humble, very stylish, and just like an all-around great human. So I would say those are my two.
Yeah, human component is really important for you, right? It's not
absolutely.
Not about surf. Last question has nothing to do with surf or surf photography. We want to know your best relationship advice. We ask this question to everybody.
Oh man, well, I've been married 11 years. I think 11.
You can give us a good advice.
Yeah. I think communication.
Yeah.
It's definitely communication, and just talking it out when you don't want to talk it out, and learning and being empathetic, and just keep on communicating.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Thanks a lot, Tommy, for being on the show with me today, and I look forward to talk to you.
For sure. Soon. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Ciao. Thank you so much. Hi, it's me again. I hope you enjoyed our today's episode. If you want to know more about us, please follow www.thetempleofsurf.com and all our social media. Mahalo! Aloha everyone, my name is Alessandro and this is the Temple of Surf, the podcast. We'll give you full access to the best surfers, skaters, shapers, surfboard collectors, shop owners in the world. Discover with me their stories, the greatest successes, amazing behind the scenes, and much more. This episode is brought to you by Yogi Pipe, a line of apparel created with eco-friendly materials by artisans from all over the world. Discover more about them and their collection on www.yogipipe.surf.